Hey friends, Danny Myers back with another episode of Strip Club U. And my question today, do you have the legal rights to the images on the ads that you're using? I mean, with graphic design programs and apps becoming a lot more available and easily to use, clubs are making their own flyers and ads for social media posts and magazines. But could you be doing something illegal? Do you have the legal rights to those images on your ads? No finer person than to ask than right now. I have got world famous attorney Luke Laro here with us. And how you doing, Luke?
Great. Thank you for the kind words, Danny.
Well, I want to say, just to call you an attorney, it does not does not build you. He is the attorney widely used by many, many strip clubs all over the country. When I first broke into this industry, you were one of the first names that I had ever heard as far as an attorney who helps the adult club industry, and you've been in many, many different types of lawsuits that you've helped out and litigations and everything. But today I want to talk about these Facebook images because, as I was saying, people nowadays they can grab their phone. They can add some text to a picture. They can grab a picture of a supermodel or something, put it on an ad, put it on Facebook, and they think they're legal. But and I've always wondered how they do that. I've seen magazine ads with these really smoking hot girls for clubs, and I'm like, that can't be legal. So then now I'm hearing about lawsuits where these supermodels and other people are
Right.
suing the clubs because you're trying to make it look like, well, we'll use Carmen Electra as an example because I know she's been one who's been really vocal in this situation. As so, first of all, using Carmen Electra or anybody's picture off the internet, that's the first no-no. Am I correct? Can you explain what we can't do there?
Well, for the most part, there's been a number of lawsuits filed all over the country for a variety of different causes of action. Mostly, it's the unauthorized use of image or likeness. Every state has a statute that prohibits that. And some states have attorney's fees provisions. And basically, if you use anybody's face or likeness to promote a commercial business without a release or a license giving you permission to do so, then you're doing it at your own risk.
Mm-hmm. And just to be able to say, well, it's only Facebook, that shouldn't matter. That does matter, whether it's Facebook or a print ad or anything, correct?
Any commercial use, if your Facebook has your club's name on it, any commercial use would definitely be the unauthorized use of image or likeness. And there's an additional wrinkle to that in that a lot of the cases that are pending now are in federal court under the Lanham Act, which is really a essentially a trademark kind of a lawsuit. Lanham Act basically would prevent someone from saying, hey, I got a Louis Vuitton purse here, but it's fake. So Louis Vuitton has a cause of action for you impugning their brand through that action. In these cases, the model's face is their brand. So by associating their face with the club, you violated the Lanham Act. And the courts have let those go forward.
Hmm. Now, how many of these cases can you win? Do you lose most? Do you win most? And what kind of settlements do they try to get?
Well, that's a really long answer. I am unaware of more than a very, very small number of cases where they've had any success from the defense standpoint, from the club standpoint. And those are based on legal theories that I don't think would apply to the benefit of everyone. So for the most part, you're in for a dismal experience. The one issue being, what's the fair market value of the image that was used? And what's dangerous about that is that there really is not a specific formula. So you have, again, the battle of the experts. The plaintiff's counsel has an expert that puts hundreds of thousands of dollars value on every image. And the theory being, well, you use this model's image, so you're making it appear like she's one of your dancers, or
Mm-hmm.
you're making it appear that she endorses your club, even though in most instances their name's not used. There's no mention of them being at the club. So a lot of it's based on these quantum leaps, but the insurance companies have been anxious to settle them. A lot of the individual clubs have been anxious to settle them. And essentially the amounts that have been settled are so vast and in many instances confidential. I can tell you that back in the day before the internet, when you would get somebody who might have unauthorized use of an image, say for a magazine ad, you might be able to settle that for $5,000 if you got to it soon enough. Sometimes those cases would be $50,000 cases. These cases are all very, very frightening, and their expert has inflated the damage issue to the point where the 2 trials that I've had, even the jury trying to give you a break in the one trial in Jacksonville, the average was about $17,000 per model. And that was about 15% of what they were looking for. So the jury gets these numbers, thinks they're doing us a big favor, but still hits the club for about $17,000 per model.
Wow. Okay, so that's using like supermodels and things like that you grab off of the internet. What about stock video sites? I personally use Deposit Photos. I pay a monthly fee. I mostly grab graphics off of there, but I see pictures of girls. I see topless pictures of girls, and I have heard that you can't use those topless pictures of girls for strip clubs. And I don't know if you know anything about Deposit Photos or photo stock or anything like that, but are those legal to make it look like this girl's at your club?
Here's the way that's developed. It was originally, when this form of advertising was created, everybody had to get it internet, they had to get their website, they had to get on Facebook, and you'd have people looking for images to put up. They'd find an image just by doing a search. Let's say that you wanted to do a promo for your club's Super Bowl party, although you couldn't use the word Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So you look for sexy referee, you'd get 1,000 images, and you wouldn't see the copyright stamp on them, and you just grab that, and you'd even find some that would invite you to share them. The minute you use that for a commercial purpose, that changes the entire framework that you're dealing with. And a lot of the photo repository sites, back in the day, it might have been somewhat safe, but now in the small print, it will say something to the effect that you can't use this to promote any kind of adult entertainment and things like that. So even the photo repository sites, I would not say are safe unless you've got some kind of guarantee from them that you can use it. But the safest way to do it is to find some attractive women, which shouldn't be that difficult in the gentleman's club industry.
Mm-hmm.
Set up a photo shoot for an afternoon, give them some money and have them sign a model release and wear a few different costumes. That's the only safe way to do this, because even the most experienced graphic artists early on, they just didn't realize the dangers that are part and parcel of using the images that you find on the internet. And I mean, even if these girls put out hundreds of thousands of their images and invite them to be shared and all the rest of that, the minute somebody, and I mean, I've got instances where clubs have been in these suits, may hire a new DJ who wants to show that he's loyal and dedicated, and he'll probably try to help out by putting a few images on Facebook. They get involved in another lawsuit because it's just not instinctive. Everybody thinks that everything on the internet, especially the things that you're invited to share, can be shared freely. It's just not the case.
Wow. Okay. So if you do get the releases, that's actually the way my club does it. We do have model releases, and we do take their photos. And what we do is we share their Instagrams, because they're all trying to build their Instagrams as well. They build us, we build them. That's if we take the pictures of the girls. Another quick question: if a girl has a photo shoot done by an outside photographer, do we also need a release from that outside photographer if the girl gives us the picture and says, "I want you to use these in the ads"?
Yes. I mean, obviously, if she's given the release to the photographer, he's got the right to use them, but nobody else that isn't the recipient or an assignee of that release, they would need that document. They'd need some kind of documentation showing they have the authorization to use that photo.
That is excellent, excellent news right there. One other quick question, and I won't keep you real long here today. Pictures on, say, a celebrity comes in the club, and football player, baseball player, whatever, and they're having a good time, and they said, "Hey, take my picture. Yeah, put it out on your Facebook page." It's not really an ad, but it's a post. And, you say, Deion Sanders was in the other day, kind of thing. When you take pictures of your customers, and post them. I mean, I know I wouldn't do it without permission. Probably wouldn't do it anyway. But could you get into some problems there?
You can still get into problems there. I mean, unless you have that document, that release or license in your hand, unless it's, and the only exception would be if it's something newsworthy. But I mean, if your Facebook is for your club, that's for a commercial purpose. So what you can put in the newspaper or on a television news program is entirely different from what you can use on your Facebook page if you operate a commercial establishment like a gentleman's club. So customers, unless they've signed a release, they're out of bounds. And I think a lot of the times that the issues have come up where somebody, and this goes back to some other examples, they used to have the campsites where you'd have the closed circuit cameras showing the club. The girl may have signed the release, but if the camera somehow captures a customer that might have hopped on the stage or done something like that, and he's out there in the general public on this commercially used site, there's a problem there too. So you got to be really, really cautious. You cannot use anyone's image for anything related to a commercial business without a release to be safe.
Okay, so I can put it on my personal Facebook, but just not on the club's. If Deion Sanders came in, cool.
Right. And I mean, it just say, hey, this is part of what I've done. Obviously in your job as a journalist, which obviously you're doing this, so that provides some newsworthy effort on your part. You might have better protection, but to use it for a commercial establishment, totally different scenario.
Man, I appreciate your time. Is there anything that you want to bring up that I didn't, that maybe some common mistakes that clubs use or clubs do?
Well, there's so many of these lawsuits, and quite honestly, what's dangerous, and I'll just give you another example. We did a trial in Miami, and the photographs that were this was not a gentleman's club, it was a swingers club, but these photographs went back to November 11th of 2011. When we did our first trial and we asked the models, hey, how did your photographs come to your attention? The models testified, well, our attorneys helped us find them, which means they're using software to go digging. I mean, there's definitely a concerted effort. This isn't some happenstance kind of thing. This is software designed to find the unauthorized use of these images so that these models and their attorneys can make a financial benefit out of all this. It's a cottage industry, and it's making them mountains of money. The problem that we had in the second trial was they knew the jury didn't like the fact that the lawyers were skulking around looking for these images. So when asked the question, how did this image come up? Now, mind you, this is a trial in 2019, an image from 2011. So you're talking about 8 years. The business in question would add Facebook posts every day, sometimes more than once, promos every day, sometimes more than once. So you're talking about 600-700 images a year for 7 years. And this girl under oath says, one of my fans came across this image. So my next question was, so let me get this straight. So in 2016, when the case was filed, one of your fans just stumbled across the Miami Velvet website and then just happened to scroll down through Facebook for 800 clicks. And then all of a sudden saw you and said, oh my goodness, what's your image doing here? I mean, it's definitely it's going to be some legal decisions. There's some appeals pending, and quite honestly, it's taking advantage of a loophole, because I don't think that when any of these images were posted, anybody did it with the ill intent of trying to capitalize on anybody. For the most part, most of these models, nobody recognizes them. If they do, they have some obscure level of notoriety. But the way it works is that if your face is your brand, no matter how famous or obscure you are, there's still a value to that. So it really, again, just comes down to that fair market value fight, which when you're talking about experts, that's an expensive undertaking no matter who's involved. So it really, really deserves a high level of caution. In fact, I would go back and I would look and see what's on my Facebook going back 5, 6, maybe, from the dawn of your Facebook page. I would definitely, and I'm not telling anybody to destroy evidence, but I would definitely audit my page and take a good hard look at what's out there and protect myself, because I've seen these cases. The first ones that I got involved with is 5 years ago in Florida, and I've seen them creep all over the country. It just depends on whose site they're looking at and how they're going through this software to see how far back they can look to see what images pop up that they can file a lawsuit on. Be
Man.
careful.
Okay. How can people get a hold of you if they want to hire you, if they're in legal troubles or whatever, as far as strip clubs and things?
Well, I'm easy to find. It's my email is luke2@larolaw.com, LUKE2 at LIROTLAW.com. And I'm easy to find in the exotic dance industry. I've written a lot of articles for Exotic Dancer magazine, so I am not hard to find, and I'm here to help anybody, either as just giving some general advice or working with local counsel to help deal with these kinds of issues. And it's a privilege.
I'll tell you what, every time I hear you speak, I get smarter. I learn something every time, and I've heard you speak at expos and panels and on some web cons and things. So I really, really thank you for taking time out of your day to meet with me here.
It's a real privilege, my friend. And you keep up the good work. You're stellar, and I really appreciate your efforts.
Well, thank you.
Outstanding.
Thanking you.
Outstanding.
Strip Club U. Hope you learned something.